This is now live.
All right, we're good to go.
He can edit.
Hello.
You guys ready?
Yeah, let's go.
All right,
Yeah,
I'll
man,
do
we're
like
here.
a 3-second pause, and then we'll jump right into it. Ready? Welcome back to the Dynasty Happy Hour. It is episode number 324. That's a lot of episodes. We've been around for a while. Good to know we are the longest standing podcast with the name Happy Hour in it. I'm looking at you, Matt Berry, and your like 7 episodes or whatever you've had. Feeling pretty awesome today. I know it was a weird fantasy week. There wasn't a ton of points scored across the league, but it seems like on my rosters, there was a lot of points scored. So I'm cool with it. We've got our friend Corey Spala back here this week for Tyler. James Crease is also with us, the FF_chef himself. And we are continuing on with the format. We're going to go over our top rookie performers, our biggest risers. We've got Corey's Thrift Shop. We've got the spray tan. We've got tight ends. We've got all sorts of fun stuff planned on this episode. But before we jump in, a couple things I want to tell you. First of all, you need to like and subscribe on YouTube. So if you're watching every Sunday night at 9 p.m., as you should be, make sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button. That's how the pros say it. Make sure to do all that.
Ring the bell.
And then after you do that, I want you to go over to manscaped.com. And why do I want you to do that? It's because I care about you. I care about you and I care about your ladies. And if you don't have a lady in your life, your future ladies, because if you go on manscaped.com and you use code DHH, you will get 20% off. And this is what you will get. You will get an awesome Lawnmower 4.0 wireless charger. You just put it on the dock, let it do its thing. Skin safe technology. It's not going to nick you up. You know, if you want to shave before a date, you're not going to be a hot bloody mess. And that's where it's at. And if you want to shave in the dark, maybe that's your thing. There's an LED light right on the front. They also include, which wasn't included with the Lawnmower 3.0, the Weed Whacker nose and ear trimmer. So if you're getting up there in advanced age like myself and you're starting to get those ear hairs, the nose hairs are a little bit more problematic, it'll take care of that too. And on top of that, not only do you get those 2 awesome products, you are going to get the Crop Preserver, the Crop Cleanser, and Crop Reviver. Now, when they say crop, it should say crotch because it's going to make all the things smooth. It's going to make them smell good. You know, if you're out on that date and, maybe you get together and it's just a pleasant experience is all I'm saying. So make sure you go to Manscaped, use code DHH for 20% off. Your balls, they'll thank you for it. Trust me. I know.
Don't shave in the dark.
Hey, I'm not here to shame anyone. Do whatever you want to do. So
Not
I want to
recommended.
know how you guys are doing tonight. Corey, what's going on in your life? How you feeling today?
Hello, everyone. Again, thank you for having me on these even weeks. Doing well, man. I'm really getting my life together. Usually on Sundays, laundry, get some meal prep ready, going for the week,
Nice.
clean a little. So I'm just having a really good time out here,
In these streets. James, what's new over there?
These
Your
streets.
Giants won again today.
Giants, baby. Let's go.
What?
5-1.
The Giants and Jets are on fire.
I kind of secretly want Dallas to win against the Eagles today, somehow, some way. I mean, I really don't want them to win, but I want to be tied for first in the division.
That would be impressive. That would be impressive. Yeah, the Giants beating the Packers. No, they didn't beat the Packers
Last
today.
week. Yes, last week in London, and then the Ravens today.
The Ravens, that's right. I didn't
down in
I didn't see any highlights from that game.
No scores in the fourth quarter for the Ravens. We were down 20-10, I believe, at the half, and we just came back and whipped up on them, man.
We're going to talk about some Giants players today.
Offensive plays looking good. Saquon, I'm a little worried about that shoulder. Hopefully, they give him plenty of rest this week.
I think he'll be all right. So a couple things from last week. James predicted it. It was the last week of Matt Rule. They finally let him go. But you know what? He can sit at home and collect millions of dollars if he'd like. That's why I hate the NFL with head coaches. Like, oh,
Tons.
You suck. We're still going to pay you. So he got fired after a 1-4 start. No surprise there.
Did he still get a paycheck?
Oh, yeah.
Like 40 million.
40 million bucks to sit on his derpy ass at home and do nothing. So congrats to him.
Up.
Like, I think that's the strategy. If you're a head coach, you sign this deal, you suck for a couple of years to get fired. Who cares?
Urban did it last year.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of players. There'll be guys this year. Nathaniel Hackett, he's the next one. Let's talk about that. Other Panthers news today. Robbie Anderson sent to the locker room in the third quarter after getting in his wide receivers coach's face. There was a little bit of a dust up on the sideline.
Did you guys see it? Did you guys see the dust up?
Yeah,
my man took his helmet and put it in his coach's face.
Yeah,
that's a no-no.
He's
dude.
done. He's either getting traded or released. Like
he's Antonio Brown 2.0.
No,
he is
no.
such
Time
a
out.
diva.
Time out.
Crap.
No
He
one,
is such a
no one is
baby.
Antonio Brown except Antonio Brown. He is
That's
on a
true.
Kanye level of Antonio Brown. Yeah. So Robbie probably going to get released. I don't know if anyone's going to trade for him after that tirade. So that'll be interesting to see. Maybe it'll be Terrace Marshall season. I can only hope.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Quick
so
update.
we'll see.
Quick
Yeah, go ahead.
update. And another Brown, AJ Brown, just scored a touchdown.
Oh, from Jalen Hurts. Those are
Yes,
fantasy
sir.
points that I need. Let's go. I love it. A
Philly is up
15-yarder.
14-0.
Nice. We didn't have injuries on our sheet tonight, James, but there was some injuries that are definitely notable in these fantasy streets. The first one from the 4:00 games, Marquise Hollywood Brown at the very end of the game looks like he did some ankle damage, and he was spotted in a walking boot post-game. Now, the big news for the Cardinals is they suck, but 2 is that DeAndre Hopkins will be back next week.
Right.
So that is I have Hopkins in a few dynasty spots. I have him in a couple redraft leagues because I could get him in round 8 or 9, and I'm like, I can wait. That's fine. Maybe he's the key to the offense because Cliff Kingsbury, as we call him here, the fake genius, straight up stinks. Corey, you want to say something?
Yeah, preliminary x-rays coming out of Brown is that it's negatives. Further testing tomorrow.
Yeah. So we'll see where, I mean, I wouldn't doubt it if like maybe he misses a week with Hopkins coming back. That's probably the smart play for long term.
And Kenny Pickett got concussed.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett got concussed. Skylar Thompson in the Dolphins game went out with a thumb injury. Teddy came in. Miami Dolphins, their offense kind of tore it up a little bit, but they just couldn't score any points, which is really
Waddle
weird.
with the bad fumble late in the game. Just
Tyreek with a ton of yards, but no scores. Like it was Gesicki with 2 touchdowns. Like welcome back, Mike Gesicki, until another 4 weeks when you do something. I mean, that's the tight end position, right? And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, Pickett with the concussion. Trubisky came in. Pittsburgh won that game against Tampa. So
I can't believe it.
I can't believe it either. It was a plum spot for Tampa's offense to get right, and they just pooped all over themselves.
How do you have 4 defensive backs out? Your whole starting defensive back.
And you have Mike Evans, a healthy Chris Godwin, who got double-digit targets.
And Tom Brady. Like, they just could not get it going. It was
maybe
embarrassing.
Maybe the pending divorce is weighing heavy on old TB12.
Maybe.
He went to Robert Kraft's wedding, a couple nights ago, and he was like, man, this is what it should be, and got all
Ed Sheeran came on, started singing
Elton
those
John
wedding
was
songs.
there. And he was singing Crocodile Rock. Brady's sipping back a seltzer, just having the time of his life. I don't want to.
Maybe he ate some rotten vegetables today. Who knows?
I don't know. We got any notable injuries here?
I think that might be it, except for the Cam Akers news, which we could talk about briefly.
Yes.
Cam Akers did not show up today, or he was told not to show up, out on personal reasons.
Personal leave from the team, and then McVay pretty much said that like.
I wonder if he told
done.
McVay to go F himself.
I don't know. There's Ian Rappaport reported earlier today that they are seeking to trade Cam Akers, and he's probably seen his last snap as a Ram. I would love to find out what happened here. Because it's Cam Akers, I'm a Florida State guy. He was never a headache at Florida State, no issues whatsoever. So I don't know what the issue is here. Maybe he's frustrated with the line, his role, like who knows? But it'll be interesting to see if Cam Akers, there are some teams that could use a running back. So it'll be interesting to see what the trade market, it's probably going to be like a 6th round pick, I'm guessing. Like no one's going to give up a 3rd or a 4th of a guy coming off an Achilles that is, having issues with his team. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets moved and if he does, where he goes, and you'll hear it here whenever it happens on the Dynasty Happy Hour. So let's keep it moving. We're going to go over our top rookie performers here in a moment. But my top performer this week and every week is Trophy Smack. And I'm going to tell you why. So you run these leagues, you love these leagues, you get your guys together, gals together, you draft, you have a fun time. What better way to celebrate that than have the ultimate fantasy football championship? And you do that by going on trophysmack.com. Now, whether you play football, hockey, basketball, baseball, soccer, it doesn't matter. You can get anything. It's completely customizable. James has a customized belt with the Swedish chef on it, and it's amazing. They have the right trophy for you. When you use code DHHRING, you'll get a free $60 championship ring. And this isn't a cheapo depot like Building 19, Ocean State job lot, insert regional discounter here type of ring. It's heavy duty, really nice quality. So make sure you use that code DHHRING when you do that, when you purchase a trophy or a belt. And if you have losers in your league, you know what? You have a league. You're going to have losers in it. It's math. It's science. You can go on there and get a loser league trophy, whether it's a toilet seat, maybe some poop. So once again, code DHHRING for that free ring at checkout, trophysmack.com. All right. Top rookie performers. This guy is showing up here. The first 2 weeks we've done this segment, and I think it's going to be common that he's just going to be here every single week, barring any sort of injury. But it's Breece Hall, who is slowly but surely creeping up the running back dynasty startup rankings. We talked about it last week. Is he the number one dynasty running back? I listened to another podcast this week, and they had him at like RB6, and I'm like, nah. He's got to be higher than that. He's got to be higher. So it was interesting to hear them debate it because I'm just shaking my head like, no. So Breece Hall today, 20 for 116 yards and a touchdown. Only had 2 receptions, which kind of killed one of my underdog prop bets, and we'll get to that later. I thought he would have at least 4. Not so much. But Breece Hall balling out again. Michael Carter did nothing in this game. He didn't poach any touchdowns. He didn't really have many touches. The tides are changing, and everything is shifting to Breece Hall. James, Breece Hall, it's still we're riding a high right now. Does it keep going?
I believe it does. I mean, we are going to have a downtick in production, I believe. Going up against Denver, their defense has been pretty stout. New England the week after that, and then Buffalo into the bye in week 10. I think it slows down a little bit, but then it picks right back up at the end of the season. So
fantasy championship weeks, James. Tell me who he plays.
Yeah, here we go. Week 15, Detroit Lions. Week 16, we just saw Deion Jackson just kill it against this team, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Mm-hmm.
And then week 17, the Seattle Seahawks.
Looking juicy.
I mean,
league winner, as they say. Hashtag.
I don't know. Do we still do week 18? Is it pushed to week 18 now?
No, if you have a championship in week 18, then boo. Exactly. Corey,
Yeah,
boo this man or woman. Like, no.
So they get away with not having to worry about Miami in week 18, which is perfectly fine. Second half of the season, with the exception of Buffalo in week 14, right before the fantasy playoffs. Man, he looked.
But here's the thing:
good.
Even if they play Buffalo, he's still active in that passing game and explosive. So I still don't worry all that much. Corey, what do you got on Breece Hall here before we move on?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to see that starting off the season, low snap share, they're slowly implementing into this offense. And these last 3 games, he's looking at a minimum of 19 touches per game. Targets and receptions will, always be helpful, but he's going to get the opportunity. So as James alluded to, it's going to be some tough matchups coming. But as long as he's getting these opportunities, you never know what can happen. And maybe he finds the end zone and will salvage a week, as we've seen the last 3 weeks with a touchdown.
Yep, exactly. And he's definitely
I would put
showing out.
Him probably inside the top 5 in dynasty running
2,
backs
3.
right now.
You could argue 1, obviously age, blah, 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 and stuff like that.
Everyone's an ageist in dynasty.
Exactly. So just depending on your philosophy.
I mean, Jonathan Taylor, he's so old.
Can't have him outside the top 5, right?
I don't know if it necessarily has to do with age anymore. It has to do with usage, and he's going to. I think he may burn out, just like Najee Harris burned out eventually. So,
maybe. Well, Najee Harris only had 1 year to burn out. Let's use like a Sean Alexander who had like 3 or 4 heavy usage years and then kind of burned out. Like, I think that's a better comp. Like, Najee's only had 1 year in the league, and I don't think he's burned out. I just think that team is broken when it comes to the run.
And he's not that good.
Broken team that just beat Green Bay.
Yeah, or Tampa Bay. That just goes to show you how bad. That just goes to show you how Tampa Bay is just Tampa Bay, as they say.
Green Bay. The Jets beat Green Bay.
The avocado seltzer crew, as Mike in the chat says. Yeah, they're bad. All right, let's move on to a player. The next 2 players are right here in my backyard.
Who's the first one?
40 minutes away. It's Don't Worry, Be Zappy. It's Bailey Zappy season here in the local sports talk radio. There is Zappy fever. There is all sorts of stuff going on. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's the new Brady. He's going to take over for Mac Jones." He
I don't think so.
You know what? Bailey Zappy today, 24-34, over 300 yards. There's only a couple of quarterbacks that did that today, and 2 touchdowns against Cleveland. And I'm going to lump these 2 in together because they play for the same team. But one of those touchdowns was to Tyquan Thornton, the 2nd-round rookie, speedster, fastest wide receiver in the draft. He went 4 for 37 and 1, and also had a rushing touchdown at the end of the game in garbage time.
Cool.
So no Nelson Aguilar today. There was rumors from Scott Zolak, who calls the games for the Pats on the radio and is also a sportscaster here in town. He said that they're trying to work in Tyquan Thornton and get him more involved. So we started to see that today. Nelson Aguilar in his frying pan hands. I bid you adieu. We don't need you Tyquan Thornton's taller, faster, and just better. Tyquan Thornton has really great hands, and I think it's one of the things he's most underrated. He has strong hands. He's not a body catcher, Nelson Aguilar. He can make the kind of contested plays that we saw Devontae Parker make today. Tyquan Thornton has that ability. Bailey Zappi, if you spent a late round superflex pick on Bailey Zappi just because he's a quarterback, and that's a thing. If you're in a superflex draft and you have a 4th round pick, James, are you just going, it's a quarterback, I'll take him? Skylar Thompson, Bailey Zappi, like
I would keep Bailey Zappi. I mean, I think he's shown enough. Skylar Thompson, no, absolutely not.
Keep him on your taxi though.
Yeah,
would you like
I mean, at
select
this
him?
point, you probably had to play
You
him
would
because
select
if you
him, though.
drafted him, you probably had Mac Jones. You probably had
are
to
you
play him.
taking
Yeah,
Jerome Ford
taking
or a
him?
quarterback?
I would take if we had
In
a
a
redraft.
superflex.
Yeah, Bailey Zappi would be
Well,
moving
yeah.
up the
Well,
ranks.
not without that knowledge. Like hypothetically, like
Right, that's
in
what
your
I'm saying,
4th
Corey.
round pick, you got a quarterback. Are you just selecting him, or are you going to take like a running back like Jerome?
No,
Ford,
I
who-
took Jerome Ford.
Okay,
Okay.
I think I would have probably took Ford too.
See, I took Zappi in the UDPL, which is a bunch of sharp folks in that league. And I took Zappi, I think, in the 5th round because I'm like, you know what? He's a quarterback. He's got a good college profile. I don't know if he's
Mhm.
going to be
The
anything.
5th's cool.
And I picked up Skylar Thompson post-draft because he's a quarterback. You just never know. Like that's – and in
True.
Superflex, quarterbacks are so valuable. If Mac Jones was out for the year, I could flip Zappi for a second next year.
Maybe.
So I just went from a 5th to a 2nd in a much better draft class. So, and not to say that happens all the time, but that is in the range of outcomes. It's the same reason why, like at the end of the 3rd in almost every Superflex draft, I was taking Sam Howell if he was there. Like I was smacking Sam Howell like
I got
all day
Sam
long.
Howell everywhere. Yeah,
because I like Sam Howell a lot, and it's the end of the 3rd round pick. If you look at the other players that were taken in that range, like there might be a couple guys that hit, but like Sam Howell, I mean, he could be a starter in a few weeks. Let's
Oh,
Wentz
speaking
already.
of which, Wentz just
has a
broke
hurt
his
thumb.
hurt his thumb, right? Broke his
Did-
thumb or something.
Did
might-
he?
Yeah, they might go to Taylor Henke.
Did he?
They shouldn't. They should just go right to Sam Howell and let
Mhm.
the kid play. He looked good in the preseason. He's more athletic. He's got better pocket presence than Carson Wentz, in my opinion. Let Sam Howell cook, is what I'm saying.
But then it's like, if Howell lights
Let him
it up,
howl.
then Wentz is just,
Ooh.
it's going to be an awkward thing because what if they
Who
stick
cares?
with Howell? I
Wentz
know
is
it's
used
best
to
for the
it.
team.
I
It's
mean,
best-
it
Wentz
doesn't
is
matter.
best for the team.
Wentz's contract is only for this year and
It's
this
for this
year
year.
only. So
Yeah.
I have, if I was, and we saw Ron Rivera talk about the quarterback. I mean,
Well,
yeah, he was probably mixed emotions,
in
tried to cover it up.
In that report by Seth Wickersham, who is a great reporter for ESPN, he said that Dan Snyder like handpicked Wentz, like Snyder wanted him, like, and he went above and beyond everyone. So that's why they asked Rivera that question post game. And Rivera is just trying to save face. He's not. But this week he's like, "What's the problem with the team?" And he's like, "Quarterback."
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, and then that report comes out, and you're like, okay. Like, there's no allegiance from Ron Rivera to Carson Wentz here. If Wentz
None.
plays well, he stays. If he doesn't, he's not going to be. He's going to be quick with the hook if he needs to be, I think. Unless Snyder's like, you don't pull him because Snyder's just a dirtbag human. But anywho, so Tyquan Thornton.
True.
So between Tyquan Thornton and Velus Jones, and I know he fumbled again for like, I want to talk about that, but those were my 2, and Danny Gray. Those are my 3 favorite late round receivers. And for that reason, I roster a ton of Tyquan Thornton. So I'm happy to see him be more involved. And, I think he's got a pretty decent rapport with Bailey Zappi working on the second team. He broke his collarbone in preseason. He's back now. He looks good. I think Tyquan Thornton could be a player. And I know that wide receivers out of Baylor minus Josh Gordon for a season usually are just terrible.
Mhm.
But maybe he breaks the mold, just how we thought all USC receivers were bad for the longest time, right? And then we have this long line of like, oh, Michael Pittman. Oh, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Like, oh, all these guys that are coming out, and it's like that's broken the Robert Woods. It's broken the mold of that cliche. So maybe Tyquan's the guy. Corey, what do you think about Tyquan Thornton?
I never understood the discourse. Like, why was he a top 50 NFL draft pick dropping to like the 4th round in rookie drafts? I'll never understand.
The
that.
only reason I can think of is like in the recent future, in the whatever, recency bias, because we've seen
How recent was that future?
Very. We've seen a litany of 2nd round receivers not hit, right? You're looking at Andy Isabella's, Dwayne Eskridge, Tutu Atwell,
Not Christian Kirk.
Not Christian Kirk, but there has been some hits. So
Almost
it's been
Christian Kirk.
very hit or miss in the recent years. So I
That's
think
cool.
with dynasty drafters, the second round draft capital, they're like, you know what? I've seen this story before. It doesn't
Sure.
mean as much as we think it does. When in fact,
Hey.
like it does. And yeah, there's going to be misses like Tutu Atwell. He might stink. He's small, like whatever. But like that's going to happen. But you have to take in the fourth round of a rookie draft. I'm going to take the draft capital because the team has invested in that player. So you know they're most likely going to have a role unless you're Sean McVay, who just pisses away draft picks like they're nothing and doesn't use them.
Or Amari
Yep.
Rodgers.
Ty Conklin cool, man. 6'2", speedy guy, worked that outside, so
Strong
happy for him. I'm happy that he's working out, just kind of like Alec Pierce too. Like a lot of people doubted him.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about Alex Pierce. So he
do
saved
it.
his fantasy day. He had one catch for 11 yards deep into the fourth
And a
quarter.
tutty though, right?
He did have a tutty. It was a big game-changing tutty.
Oh,
Um,
carry, right?
Yeah, so Alec Pierce ends up
Well-
for 3 for 49 and 1, coming off a game where he was the leading receiver the week before. I think he had 8 catches for 90 and a
88
touchdown.
8 for 81. Yes.
Yeah.
81.
In that one. So I like Alec Pierce a lot. There is no clear-cut second receiver, I think, although Paris Campbell had a little bit of a revitalization
We'll
today.
talk about him in a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So Alec Pierce, again, great athletic profile, good draft capital.
Oh wow, good for Campbell.
Yeah. So Alec Pierce, I think, is a good
Grandson
player,
as
and I
well.
think he could establish himself. We finally saw Michael Pittman do Michael Pittman things that he should be doing every week in that offense, getting double-digit targets and getting over 100 yards. He should be one of the more consistent fantasy options week to week. But this Colts team, like they beat the Chiefs, and then they're awful. And then Matt Ryan has 2 touchdowns with no picks, 300 yards, and he looks good again with no Jonathan Taylor. Darius Jackson has a great game, 10
Deion
receptions. Deion, yeah. Darius Jackson was another former player. Deion Jackson comes in, has double-digit receptions before he gets hurt, and puts up 23 fantasy points for you if you started him. This guy. So yeah, this Colts team is fascinating to me because they're so hot and cold. You don't know. It's like the box of chocolates from Forrest Gump. You just don't know what you're going to get. So Corey, talk to me about Alex Pierce's profile, and do you think that he could establish himself as the number 2 here?
Yeah, Alex Pierce, what is he, 6'3", a nice speedy guy coming out of there from Cincinnati where he played with Desmond Ridder.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Colts went out there, they got their guy. They know what they were doing. I've been really liking this usage kind of going forward. His snap percentage has gone up, and targets, he's seen no less than 5 if we want to just play the fun game where we disregard week 1 where he had 2 targets and no stats.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he seems like he's going to fit that, especially pairing there well with Pittman, Campbell, whatever he's doing. He's at least healthy. He's getting a couple targets. Granson's emerging, but Pierce is obviously working himself in there as like a solid wide receiver 2 target in that offense.
Yeah, and it's a tight end of the week in that offense too. 1 week it's Mo Alley Cox. 1 week it's Jelani Woods. Kylan Granson, possibly you. Like they're just kind of mixing it up. So it outside of Pittman and whoever the running back is, it's hard to predict what's going to happen. So Pierce is going to have some of these boom weeks, I think. Until he's a rookie. I mean, you're talking like the 5th or 6th game, like consistency. He's not going to get better until towards the end of the season, and that's how a lot of rookie wide receivers really are. So if you're rostering Pierce and he's doing good things now, he should be even better as the season goes on.
Yeah, I'm
Hold,
looking at,
and we'll look for the quarterback change in Indianapolis at the end of the season too. As far as Frank Reich, he's probably going to be gone if they don't make it to the playoffs, which they probably won't.
I mean, have you seen the AFC South?
I think the Titans still take it, to be honest.
The worst winning team.
Yeah, the worst winning team. But regardless, a winning team compared to what the Colts have been doing lately. I don't see Frank Reich finishing the season, and Matt Ryan will probably be gone with him.
Yeah, we'll see. That's going to be obviously something interesting.
So a rebuilding team is exactly what you want for Alec Pierce. He's going to be rebuilding. He's going to gain value. You got him really, really cheap in your rookie drafts, and his value is on the upswing right now.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of value, we finally saw the debut of James's guy. He didn't play a lot of snaps today, but he was targeted, I think, on almost 50% of the snaps that he did play. And he scored a touchdown. And his name is, what is it, James?
Wandale.
Wandale Robinson.
It's a Wandale Robinson.
This Giants team, James, talk to me about the pass catchers here. No Tony again. Galladay is dust. There is a huge, massive, gigantic, enormous opportunity. Yeah, I was thinking of other.
I think we are going to find someone in free agency at the end of the year, but the void has been filled, especially this week with Wandale Robinson. getting into the end zone in his debut, only had 4 targets, caught 3 of them for 37 yards. We talked about him. He is a speedster. He's very, very shifty, elusive, probably better than Kadarius Toney, but a little bit smaller, only 5'8",
big.
185 pounds. And I know Doug doesn't really agree, but
No,
the Giants are getting
Tony's
it.
health. That's
The
the
Giants are getting it done, which is amazing. I am ecstatic to be a Giants fan
thing.
right
Hashtag
now.
Dable.
And we can
Good
get
coach.
right into Daniel Bellinger here. Daniel Bellinger, because wow. All right, Doug, you named him as your go by tight end player of the week last week. Doug's buy of the week today. 5 receptions on 5 targets for 38 yards and a tutty.
For the third straight week, Daniel Bellinger has found pay dirt.
Yeah.
You could do worse at tight end. You've seen how tight end is. It sucks. Like, you can put Bellinger in and score 10 points, and he's a tight end 1. This is where we're at. This is where we have been. Unless you have an elite one, you can plug and play matchup-wise. Doesn't matter. Bellinger, my most rostered player in Dynasty is Daniel Bellinger. So for me, it was all about opportunity going into the draft. It's like, all right, you got Jordan Akins and Ricky Seals-Jones in front of you. I was like, yeah, those guys are retreads. Like, Bellinger has an opportunity if he does well in camp to be a starter. And look where we are. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes Dynasty isn't that hard when you really look at it. Like, let's be honest. And sometimes it can be extremely difficult.
Oh yeah, I have some of those teams that I just want to like get rid of everybody.
Right, but for instances like that, when you're like, all right, there's a guy behind 2 veterans who don't really move the needle. Like, why not invest in this guy? And then if he becomes a starter, poof. Like, I had someone offer me a 3rd-round draft pick for Bellinger and tight end premium, and I declined it. I was like, no. I declined it. I was like, no, I'm rolling with Bellinger. I'm not super deep at tight end in that roster. So, but I believe in him. So it's great to see him have some success, because usually rookie tight ends, I mean, Kyle Pitts never scored a touchdown in America in his rookie year, and Bellinger already has 3. So give me Bellinger over Pitts rest of the season.
Is Bellinger the Freiermuth of 2022?
Nah. I mean,
Maybe.
all he needs is 8 touchdowns and like 50, 60 catches. It could happen.
He's getting there.
It could happen. I don't think he's as good as Pat Freiermuth.
Right.
But I mean, it was nice to see, on a side note, as we're talking tight ends, and it was nice to see Kyle Pitts score his first touchdown on American soil today.
About time.
Yeah, and someone
only
tweeted
3 targets.
Someone tweeted out that McCole Pruitt had a touchdown, and before Pitts did, and I was like, now do their career. McCole Pruitt has 7 touchdowns in his career. Pitts had 1. Now he has 2. So it was
3
nice.
Count the Pro Bowl.
Yes. So it's nice to see the Kyle Pitts managers loosen the noose a little bit. Because they're like, it's over.
Good old 3 for 19 game, and we're talking about that touchdown.
I mean,
I know
we all were hoping finally that Kyle Pitts
it saved the day, man.
At some point, so we do have to bring it up, and it's all about opportunity. And Doug, you said opportunity. It brings us right to our next rookie riser, Kenneth Walker. Oh my goodness!
So I want to pump the brakes a little bit on Ken Walker.
School zone.
So 21 carries for 97 yards and a touchdown. Awesome. Good fantasy day. He finished with like 18 points, 2 receptions for 13 yards. My one observation about Ken Walker, and I like Ken Walker, I liked him going into the process, is that there was a lot of runs of negative yardage and no yardage. So just something to keep an eye out on. If you're, you want to plug him in as your RB2 every week, that's perfect. But I think if we expect super long runs every week, he might be a little reliant on that in the beginning. Again, rookie running backs take a little bit of time too. We've seen it with Miles Sanders. We've seen it with Jonathan Taylor. We've seen it with guys. The speed of the game isn't quite there yet. And I think Ken Walker will get there. But my biggest concern was the numbers are masked a little bit because he had a couple of long runs. And, yards per carry, it all adds up and it looks decent. But when you look at it from a bigger picture, there was a lot of runs that didn't really go anywhere. And I think that's a product of the line not being super duper great, but they're getting better because Charles Cross is a great tackle. So I think they're getting better. But I want to pump the brakes. I like Ken Walker.
It's Walker, not runner.
Yes. He's on a Walker. He's not that old yet. Oh, he's a 23-year-old running back. He's old.
He's 21.
Yeah, I know. But Dynasty people. He's 21. He could be 20. Ooh.
He's going to age out next year.
He's got 3 good seasons left.
Bring out the Walker.
So Ken Walker, a good day, right? Like we put him in after Penny went down. You wanted him to put up numbers, and he did that. I'm just tempering my excitement a little bit because I think the numbers are a little bit skewed, is all I'm saying. Don't expect this every week.
Fair enough, but it's back-to-back weeks, and then next week they go up against the Chargers, who
Right,
are
back-to-back
last
weeks with
in their.
long runs. So you're
So-
counting on a long run every week to really buoy his
I think it's
stats.
more of the
He's
opportunity.
consistent.
Yeah, as long as he gets into the end zone and he's in the 80 to 90 yard range, I'm okay with that. I mean,
He's gonna get-
that's a fair RB2.
I'm just telling you, there's going to be like a 15 for 35 week, and everyone's going to be like, Ken Walker, and I'll be like, okay, this
Yeah,
is
it's
what he
gonna be
does.
against the
Like,
Giants.
And that's okay, because he's human and he'll have some bad games, but
he is a human.
he's going to get the volume. Like when Penny was active, Penny was good enough to get these extra touches, but Travis Homer and DJ Dallas, they're not going to be taken away from Kenneth Walker, and Walker's it's going back to whoever we were talking about earlier. They're going to get the opportunities, so hopefully they can convert these into points.
And
Yeah,
that's a
I
good
think-
point, Corey, because you mentioned Rashad Penny, and Rashad Penny, he would do this stop and go thing until he broke a big run, and that's where he really boosted his fantasy value. So
Right.
it might just be the system, Doug, more so
be.
than the player.
I mean, Rashad Penny was a system running back.
Hey,
Donnell Pumphrey and Rashad Penny, get out of here with those stats. Ugh, gross in college. All right, let's move on to our biggest risers. The aforementioned Indianapolis Colt, Paris Campbell. Is this a career day? I think he had maybe one 100-yard game in his career. I know he's only played like 5 games because he's always hurt.
He's had 3 touchdowns, I believe, in his career.
No 100-yard game.
Okay, I think he got close once, but he had 7 receptions
71.
for 57 yards and a touchdown on 11 targets. We talked about the opportunity. So a riser, this guy was a former second-round dynasty pick, and I saw him get dropped in some deeper dynasty leagues. It's never been about the lack of talent. It's really been about the ability to be on the field with Paris Campbell. So we know that he can show flashes. I just think that, Paris, it's not a player. He might be a riser. If I had someone knocking on my door wanting me to trade him, I would, because I just don't think he's ever going to be a consistent performer in that space. So for me, he might be a riser in value, but he's also a sell. Like if someone wants to come at me and is like, oh, I want Paris Campbell, I'd be like, cool, give me like a 4th round pick, like a late 3rd, like something like that. And I would pull the trigger on it just because he's going to be mind-numbingly frustrating to own and have to rely on. You shouldn't have to rely on him. He should be your wide receiver like 6 or 7 on your dynasty rosters. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, we're 6 games into the season. We obviously see his role, and this game is cool. It's kind of like a Tyler Boyd game for him where it just worked out. He'll go back to being, a 2 reception guy for 20 yards, 3 reception for 30. Just
maybe
a
get
guy,
a carry.
Yeah, a guy to take away from Pierce and Pittman, and it's just a change of pace receiver, if that's a thing, someone that you just can't ignore if you're the defense.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on. Juju Smith-Schuster finally has the game we all wanted him to have. 5 receptions for 113 yards and a touchdown. He's averaging 6 targets a game in one of the best offenses in the NFL. Nice. I mean, I guess he's the number 1 wide receiver for Kansas City, James. What do you think?
I would have to say yes.
I don't know that that's a great
unless it's
thing.
Kelsey.
No, yeah, wide receiver. He did say wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the first time he got a touchdown, first time over 100 yards.
It was kind of like a weirdy. It was a
only
great play.
5 targets in a game where
I'm not buying it.
You knew they were throwing it. And as much as he is a big riser, but I'm going to tell you no, if someone wants to, this is a selling point for Juju Smith-Schuster.
It's his first 100-yard game since like 2019, I think.
I'm not convinced that any of these wide receivers have made a case to stay on the roster for next year.
Yeah, MVS with 3 targets, no fantasy points. McCole Hardman has a touchdown, and he's
not doing too bad.
But I mean, if you look at the target share, that's where you can use this as a selling point. He's had 8 targets the last 3 games before this. Then he catches all 5 for 113 and a touchdown. Use that information and sell while you can.
Yeah, this is the game that if Juju didn't have a good game here, he was toast the rest of the season, in my opinion, because the way that the Bills coverage is perfect for Juju to take advantage of. And if he didn't take advantage of that here, he wasn't going to do it for the rest of the year, in my opinion. So with Juju having a big game, again, that sell window is definitely open. If you want to move him, if someone's willing to give you a late second for Juju, you taking it, Corey?
Well, contending, whatever, obviously Juju, he's going to be a perfect wide receiver 2 for you. So I'm not necessarily going to get rid of him.
I've got him as a perfect wide receiver 3 in my opinion. Like
he's got a
2,
perfect wide receiver 3 for you, like I was saying. No, I don't know. Like, I mean, he's going to be 5 receptions, 70 yards, like
maybe
that's 12 points, if we're lucky. Yeah. 6 for 7, 5 for 8, 5 for 4. Yeah. 3 for 10. You're going to have some down games, but I don't know if you're competing, like, are you going to kind of go away from your championship potential run for a late second? So no, I guess, because, I'm always winning. But early second, yeah, sure. Why not? A first, smash, of course. But it's just,
I don't know if anyone's taking a first.
Dependent.
If you get an offer for a first for Juju, like, and if you don't take it, then shame on you.
Yeah, a little context dependent, but like you got to at least think about it because he is not having the year like you guys were just alluding to and the points you have been making. And this offense is going to flow through Kelsey.
I mean, there were some well-respected analysts saying that Juju would be this year's Cooper Kupp.
It was worth the shot, to say, but
yeah, let's get those receipts out. I'm looking at,
and Sky Moore's coming too. So
he is.
Last 3 weeks, he's seeing
except
some
for that
action,
interception.
So
yeah,
that wasn't his fault.
He's coming.
No,
he's coming. So I guess I would have to sell, but I don't. Maybe a mid second, I'd be thinking at least late second if I'm contending. Late second, sure. Blah blah blah.
I have Smith-Schuster on a few dynasty rosters, and he's my. I mean, there's weeks I don't start him because I'm pretty deep. So for me,
maybe get rid of him.
Yeah, if someone came to me with a reasonable like mid-second, late second, I would probably tell him to go toodaloo.
Yes. Some people may have invested.
That's the whole point of this. Like, you may not get another opportunity of a kind of a game like this where he hits over 100 yards and scores. You may not. So I would take that opportunity and try to get him off your roster.
Some big playability in this game, which was nice to see.
Yeah.
Speaking of a big performance, we're going back to the tight end position. It's big Bob Tanyen coming off that ACL injury. He's been playing more snaps. He was the leading receiver for Green Bay. Now Green Bay looks like an absolute trash bag. But Robert Tanyen, 10 receptions for 90 yards on 12 targets. Wow. It was just a couple of years ago that Big Bob had, I think it was 8 touchdowns for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
There's not a clear, I guess Lazard, he scored again, so he's the clear number 1. And then Dobbs has been very inconsistent. Rookie, I think as the year gets going, he'll be more of a stronger performer. I like the talent from Romeo Dobbs, but Bob Tanyen, they're not using the running backs in the pass catching game. This offense frustrates the living bejesus out of me because you have Aaron Jones, who's averaging over 6 yards per carry, explosive play after explosive play, and they're not utilizing him the way they should be. So they need to fix their stuff because LaFleur losing Devontae Adams was, they pooped in the bed and now they
could
have
not stop Quinnen Williams today at all.
Quinnen's an animal.
He is a beast, and it showed.
Yeah.
And when they had to get rid of the ball, they threw it to Tanyen. So in my eyes, that's what the offensive line is. They're lacking in some sense where this is going to continue. This is going to be what the Packers are now. Dink and dunk, a lot of short passes, midfield passes.
Randall Cobb got hurt in this game too.
Well,
looks like it might be serious. Yeah,
that's a big thing. Amari Rodgers. No, I'd rather have Robert Tanyen. And Robert Tanyen's been pretty consistent with his target share and receptions. His reception rate is phenomenal in my eyes. Today he's like a dollar store George Kittle. He reminds me of Kittle.
Don't
they work out together? Didn't they work out together?
Yeah,
all the tight ends work out together.
They get their hair cut together.
They get tattoos together.
Their lack of.
They're good friends.
But yeah, I don't see this stopping for Tanyen. And if there's an opportunity now where you can go ahead and pick him up in a tight end premium league or in a deeper league where you don't have to play a tight end every week,
you could do a lot worse at tight end. Trust me.
Because currently before this game, he was tight end 17. And I think he's going to start bouncing up the ranks and his value is going to go up.
Again, opportunity is there. They don't have anything else on the depth chart of a Josiah DeGuara, who was a former 3rd-round pick. He's more of like a fullback, H-back, like hybrid type thing. So, all right. And we already talked about Daniel Bellinger being a riser as well.
Oh, yes.
So now we are going to get it to Tyler, who unfortunately couldn't be here today, but it's his player of the week. And his player of the week is little wide receivers.
Oh, my gosh.
I would say undersized would probably be more appropriate.
Physically challenged.
Petite.
Yes.
petite.
Heightly challenged.
They're
Heightly
shopping at
challenged?
Ann Taylor Loft, possibly because they're petite. We'll go with that. But the first one is Rondale Moore, who this is his second week in a row where he's been healthy. He went 6 for 49 on 10 targets. He gives the offense speed other than Hollywood, because outside of they have Hollywood, who hasn't been the flanker that he normally is. I think once if he's healthy, Hopkins comes back, Hollywood goes outside and plays that role that he did with Baltimore. But Rondale Moore gives them speed because Zach Ertz is not speedy. AJ Green is not speedy. Their running backs are not speedy. James Conner isn't making too many people miss. Neither is Eno Benjamin. Sorry, not sorry. So Rondale Moore gives them that edge, and it'll be really interesting to see once Hopkins is back how they line the. I think Rondale can play on the outside, even though he's got a smaller frame because he's shifty and he's fast. James, how do you think this Arizona offense is going to look once Hopkins comes back, providing that Hollywood Brown is healthy?
I mean, they still have big holes on the offensive line, but I think Rondale Moore is definitely someone that you should try to get. I think I traded a late second earlier in the season for Rondale Moore in one of our leagues, and it was totally worth it. He was not anything last year. He was hurt, and now he shows up. He's starting to show up in a big way, very consistently targeted. Obviously, some of those targets will go down when DeAndre Hopkins comes back, but I'm not afraid of that, because if DeAndre Hopkins has a bad game, Rondale Moore will probably have a good game. And yes, he can play outside. His speed is immaculate. I believe he ran like a 4.4 40 in his combine 2 years ago.
Great collegiate profile at Purdue.
Yeah, great in Purdue. I think
4.37.
4.37. Oh, even better. Thank
Good
you.
agility, good burst.
Wasn't he he was the fastest in that draft class, correct?
Which was it? 2021.
2021.
No, I don't think
You
so.
want to vet that for the receivers? He might have been.
I don't think
I
so.
think
I got this.
I think he tied Jonathan Taylor. No,
Corey's got it. Give him a moment.
Yeah.
Keep talking.
My biggest concern with anything Arizona is Stiff Kingsbury, fake genius, not being what everyone thought he was going to be in the NFL, because that offense is cheeks right now. Their traditional has been, we don't score in the first half. We score all our points in the second half. What did they do today? They didn't score any points really at all. They had a defensive touchdown. They didn't score one offensive touchdown in this game against Seattle, who's been relatively easy to score against, as we've seen. So this is one of the more frustrating situations. Hopefully, when DeAndre Hopkins comes back, he's the cog in the wheel that makes all the gears turn. I'm hoping, but I don't know. Because Cliff, I know they extended him, but he would be on my very short list of coaches that need to go. Corey, you got that number?
Yeah, so he was second. Anthony Schwartz, the speedy guy
Cleveland.
coming out of
Yeah.
Auburn, he ran a
He's
4.32.
after
Yeah.
today.
Yeah, what, third round pick, I think? Yeah, third
Yes.
round pick. They thought that he could be the speedy guy, maybe that Tyquan Thornton could be or would have been, but he's a speedy guy, 4.32 speed.
Yeah, Schwartz is. May the Schwartz be with you.
Nice.
Spaceballs references for the win. Yeah, and the other one is the aforementioned Wandale. We talked a little bit about him earlier. 3 for 37 and a touchdown on 4 targets. He gives that offense a spark because Kadarius Toney just can't stay healthy. He's soft tissue issue king. We all love Kadarius Toney when he's on the field because he does things with the ball in his hands that nobody else does. He changes directions like he's in a phone booth. He's amazing to watch, but then he's broken. Like he's just, the talent is there. It's the health. You know, a lot of very well-known fantasy analysts that I respect were talking up Toney having a breakout, being more like a Stephon Diggs in the way that he runs routes and his talent, and his physical health is what's holding him back. So with that said, if you have Wandale, congrats. I think he's going to be a major contributor.
Absolutely.
I am also going out and trying to acquire Kadarius Toney because he is stone cold dirt cheap right now. Because anyone that drafted him with a second-round rookie pick is like, F this guy. He's not doing anything for my team. He can't stay healthy. So what do you got to give up for Toney, James?
I think you can get him done for a third right about now.
I'd pay a third for Toney if I had a third to give and I needed,
Maybe a late second, tops.
I wouldn't give a late second.
I wouldn't
I would
do
draw
that
a line
right
there.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say a third, and then if you've got a team where you can put him on your taxi, maybe you have like two-year taxi
I have
players.
Toney on a lot of taxi squads. Yeah.
I have him on one as well. Corey, what do you think about Toney? Is he a buy for you, or are you just like, nah, dog? Like he's hurt way too often. I'm done.
I mean, you guys get it. Like you pretty much nailed it right there. Definitely somebody you want. The talent when on the field, we see it. So shifty. He's a playmaker in open space. And obviously, if a coach could scheme him out, similar to how this coach is scheming out Wandale and Bellinger. So James, 4.44. That's Wandale's speed. So you were pretty close on that one with Rondale, but Wandale.
Wando.
Should we start calling him in Rondale more? Is that
Rondale?
If you say Wandale, you don't mess it up.
Rondale more. Got it.
Yeah, Tony's cool. Tony's cool, but he's got to be playing. I don't know if these injuries are also because he's just kind of fed up with the coaching staff, and maybe they're trying to work out a trade. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe they're just trying to keep him healthy. Like Kenny Galladay's injuries are obviously because he doesn't want to play, but Tony's talent is there, but there's risk in it.
It's a hamstring and then another hamstring.
Draw it at the late second, like you're saying. Throw a third, maybe a younger player too, I guess, just to get it done.
Yeah,
he's out there eating ham sandwiches.
Ugh. Yeah, he's not even doing it in a cool way. All right, we are going to move on to James's Spray Tan Player of the Week.
Oh yeah, get that spray tan in there, baby. All right, for those of you that don't know, the Spray Tan Player of the Week is one of the players that broke out today. That is crap. Quite frankly, just crap. Forget about it.
Yeah, we don't want that fake. We want that real tan, that sunshine.
Yeah, exactly. You want the vitamin D.
You want them rays.
You want the vitamin C. You want all your vitamins.
Take your vitamins, brother.
Anyway, speaking of vitamins, Jamichael Hasty.
Vitamins.
All right, I have two for you guys this week. Jamichael Hasty, 3 carries, 57 yards, and a touchdown. Great. He came in, spelled out Jeff Wilson a little bit. Jeff Wilson fumbled the ball, and
timeout.
He had a 61-yard.
He plays for the Jags. He spelled ETN and Dingle over there.
He had a 61-yard touchdown.
Jamichael Hasty had a 61-yard run to the house, and thank you. He does play for the Jags, but he had 3 carries for 57 yards and a touchdown.
What's up with that?
That is exactly my point, Corey. Negative yardage, smaller guy. He's only in there to take a break, give a break to James Robinson, give a break to Travis Etienne, who we've seen step up as of late. Another great game today.
Mm-hmm.
Jamichael Hasty, this is his second team doing the same.
Yeah, the Niners cut him after preseason. So
yeah. So Jamichael Hasty, stay away from it. If you have him on your roster, use this as an opportunity to get rid of him. The other guy, you probably don't roster him. No one rosters him.
I never even heard of him.
Shaheed, 1 carry, 44 yards, and a touchdown. Good night.
Never heard of him. And I know a lot of players, most players.
Rub that suntan lotion in, man. Go to a sunny place.
Mike Jones.
And
who
not spray tan. Rashid Shaheed.
Okay, that's a tongue twister.
Say that one fast.
Rashid Shaheed. All right,
yeah, and that was on New Orleans. It was a younger guy.
Good for him, though. I'm happy for him. He had a good moment.
Rookie, just got elevated off the practice squad, Weber State.
Good for him.
And,
that's a big moment for him.
The wide receivers in New Orleans, I mean, it is good to bring up that they are all dead right now. Olave, Landry, Michael Thomas, they are all injured. Hopefully Olave comes back this week. He almost played this week, and next week he should be back to normal.
They play on Thursday, though, so a little bit shorter window.
The normal guys, Traquan Smith, Marquez Callaway, not really much going on in this game. Rashid Shaheed, however, touchdown. Very fast.
Like Corey said, big moment. Always fun to see. Can I add a third one? It was Kenyon Drake. Like, really?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. That's whatever.
I think it was, I don't know why. They just don't let J.K. Dobbins play.
I don't. Dobbins got injured again in this game.
Yeah.
Right, Corey?
Talk about it.
No, well, they were saying it kind of bothered him. It was tight or something, so maybe it was precautionary to take him out, and obviously Drake was just carving up the Giants defense, which isn't, I don't know if they're like a stout front seven, are they? Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence,
in the league, yeah.
Wow, okay, they're playing well.
So Drake had a big game, and obviously maybe they just were like, all right, he's having a good game, hot hand, let's ride.
This team really needs Gus Edwards back. There, I said it. All right. Let us move on. Well, he's
Justice
hurt
Hill
too.
is hurt.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
hurt too. So
catch up on these news.
they're gonna be signing Devonta Freeman again soon. No, I'm just kidding. Please.
They're
no.
going to trade for Cam Akers.
Oh, maybe that would be interesting. I would hate it, but you never know.
Oh man,
All right. Our next sponsor,
it makes a lot of
Underdog.
sense too.
I know. I talked earlier about Underdog, how they have these awesome prop bets. So I put in 5 prop bets. I bet $10 to win 200. I didn't hit all 5, unfortunately. I only hit 3. But there's a lot of fun games like that on Underdog. It's a little bit different DFS than what you're used to. You can draft against 2 other players, and whoever has the best team wins money. There's a lot of different things you can do on Underdog, and it's not just with football. You can do baseball as well, and they'll have other sports coming up. But you can do player pick'em, the props, quick team, 6-team, best ball. You can do a little bit of everything. So go download Underdog app right now on the Apple iTunes Store as well as Google Play. Use code DHH to have your deposit up to $100 matched right away. So if you can only put 20 in, you'll get 20 on top of that. So you'll have 40, so on and so forth. You can do the math. It's easy, trust me. It's free money for something you're probably going to play anyways. You know what? Dynasty and redraft season, maybe your team stink. Maybe you're out of it and you're like, I want to stay engaged with fantasy football. This is a way to do it. Go on underdog.com, get some free money, use code DHH, up to $100 matched. Do it now. All right. I've got my tight end buy of the week. Last week, I told you to buy Daniel Bellinger, and I told you to go and buy Cade Otton. And by the way, Cameron Brate, unfortunately, got hurt today. It looks like it could be serious.
That's a bad one.
Obviously, we want to prayers up for Cameron Brate. Hope he's okay. We talk about opportunity. Cade Otton coming off a 6-reception game. He did have a couple catches in this one after Brate was out of the game. So maybe a couple hits there. We'll see what the season looks like. But I've got one for you this week, and it is another rookie tight end that not enough people are talking about.
I have him on every squad.
As do I. He was the fastest tight end in the combine. He's a little stockier, reminds me a little bit of a more athletic Delaney Walker, who used to play for the Tennessee Titans. They've used him on the goal line with a rush. They've targeted him just a few times. They signed Austin Hooper, and he's done nothing. They have Jeff Swaim, who is a journeyman blocking tight end. Chig Okonkwo is the tight end. They're on bye this week, so this opens up the perfect time. This is one of my favorite dynasty moves.
You could put in your claim today and get him tomorrow.
Even if he's rostered, if a player is rostered and he's on his bye week and it's a player I like, I'm going to go try to get him because I feel that the value is always a little bit lower because they're like, I'm not using him this week. Like, why would he want him? Like, okay. Like, I like Chig Okonkwo a lot, especially in tight end premium leagues. I've talked about the Titans' future a lot on this podcast. It's Treylon Burks, it's Chig Okonkwo, it's Malik Willis, maybe Hassan Haskins. They drafted 4 offensive playmakers in this draft, and I think that is potentially their future. I think Chig Okonkwo could be a solid tight end for his career because of his athleticism, because of the opportunity. You know, Robert Woods is their second receiver. They got Kyle Phillips also in this rookie class who's contributing. So there could be a young, exciting potential offense here in Tennessee, and I think Chig Okonkwo is a part of it. And go pick him up if you can. If you have to try to go out and acquire him, it's not going to cost you much. Maybe a 4th-round pick. Probably. And I'm willing to take that because I think that as the season goes on and he gets more comfortable, he's gonna work more in this offense because Hooper's dust, Swaim is dust. Okonkwo is the future here in Tennessee. Any thoughts on that, guys, before we get to Corey's Thrift Shop Player of the Week?
I couldn't agree more about Chig. He's definitely a physical specimen.
Absolutely. All right, Corey, it is your Thrift Shop Player of the Week. Who are we thrifting on the racks this week, Corey?
Yeah, thank you. So, I've kind of been thinking here actually in this last moment that thrift shopping, you either are donating, giving a player away, like I'm done with you, or you're picking someone up off that rack, like the waivers. And someone that I know I put down someone in there, but I'm going to change it up here because someone that I spent last week. Yeah, someone that I spent last week picking up was She Smith.
Shy Smith?
Shy Smith, She Smith, they Smith.
Whatever pronouns they go
you
by.
Smith,
cool.
we all Smith.
Naismith. But I saw that the Panthers were there was rumors about them trading Robbie Anderson last week. So I was like, oh, let me go get Shy Smith off the waivers. And, he had 2 targets, no catches today. But last week, 4 for 69. So pretty solid, 0 touchdowns.
Very nice.
4 for 69. Shout out to a fun little foursome, but maybe he's going to have a little upgrade. He played minimally last year, his rookie year. Maybe he's going to have some value rise here, which may be good. But if you could get him off the waivers for free, if you're thrifting him off the waivers, I think he could be a good target to try to then flip if Robbie's gone and they don't really bring anyone else in and he has a nice role moving forward.
Yeah, I like that.
Great
Anytime that you can try to mine some value off waivers is always, it's the dynasty move. It's what helped me in the past with guys like Darren Waller. Like, you just never know. You pick them up, and if something happens, cool. You make the best of it. Absolutely. All right. It is time to talk about these Twitter streets. And I'm your correspondent, Dougie Fresh. I am reporting live from Cranston, Rhode Island. And I went around town today and I was talking to everyone. I said, hey, do you have Twitter? And they said, yeah. And I said, what's everybody buzzing about? I had a microphone in their face. And, I got a lot of different sound clips, and unfortunately I lost them. But everyone was talking about Seattle's D giving up 30 points a game and the Cards scoring 9 points. We alluded to it a little bit earlier with Cliff Kingsbury. James, does Cliff Kingsbury last the season? And why is the answer yes? And how frustrating is that?
I think it is yes.
No.
I think it is yes. And the answer is Kyler Murray.
Ugh.
I think they're both tied together. And regardless of what's gone wrong with the Arizona Cardinals, Cliff still stands there.
Corey, what do you think? Is Cliff a stiff?
I mean, yeah, I've kind of thought that the last couple of years. Like, he obviously just doesn't have it. He could be way better back there in college, Oklahoma or whatever he's from. Was that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Something like that. Who cares?
Yes, you're right. Oklahoma.
Oh, cool. That was a lucky guess. But yeah, he's probably better off there. But like we're saying, he's probably tied. He went out there and got him while Josh Rosen was there. And it just feels like they're just going to be there, and we're not going to be too excited moving forward really much. Especially with Kyler, especially if he's playing this Call of Duty stuff, this new Call of Duty's coming out.
Double XP weekends.
Double XP weekends, man.
Forget
They're
it.
Screwed.
They're done.
Double XP weekend.
And he just doesn't seem like he wants it or cares or like has the drive. It just seems like he's just naturally good, and it's just not that fun for him.
Yeah, I mean, at least their defense played well today. I mean, they only gave up the one touchdown to the offense and Ken Walker. They shut down DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. So there's some positives on the other side of the ball. But Cliff is an offensive coach. And he's somehow like related to the McVay tree. So I think that has way too much swag. So yeah, Cliff, he's a stiff.
Yeah, give me the Shanahan tree.
Yeah, exactly. Don't give me the Belichick one.
No,
that's bad. All right, let's talk about some trades that we've made this week. James, you want to go over? I'll let you take this segment and talk to me about the trades that Tyler's done and one that you've done this week.
Yeah, I guess I'll start out with the one that I did right before kickoff. Needed a tight end in the Chaos League. Shout out.
That was where you did it?
Yeah. Amari Rodgers for Hunter Henry. Now, I needed a tight end. It's a 2 tight end league, a tight end premium.
Is Rodgers even playing?
No.
What is Ron doing? He got a catch today, suckers.
I mean, Rodgers got a cut. Rodgers had a catch.
That's collusion, dude.
It's not collusion.
I am tilting. The tilt is real right now, James.
It was right after the tilt pod. Good plug. Thanks, Corey. But no, I said, hey, bud, I need a tight end. You have 5 of them.
Hey,
please.
$5.
What do you want? He's like, just send me whatever. I don't care. Yada, yada, yada. So I got Hunter Henry. And of course, he has the best game of his season today. So I think Hunter Henry for nothing is probably the best trade I will make all season long.
Yeah, both
especially in the 2 tight end league.
Contributing today. Jonnu Smith had a nice long game finally, or gain rather. So yeah, it was good to see the Patriots tight ends that they paid premium bucks for actually contribute to the offense. That was very nice.
Yeah, very active today, and they also had. I think he also had one called back or dropped.
Yeah,
or something
and speaking of active, our boy Tyler, he's always making trades. What did he do this week, James?
He gave Garrett Wilson for Ken Walker last night.
He gave Garrett Wilson. That's his guy.
Yeah,
he's acquiring wide receivers.
Yeah.
I think he's trying to diversify, and this may be one of those scenarios where he is going for it. If it's a win now situation where he's light on running back, heavy on wide receiver, and I don't hate it, especially if you're a winning team. If you're a winning team, you need a situational running back that is going to get you to at least be an RB2. especially during bye weeks. Bye week started this week. I know Tyler has some problems in week 9 in one of the leagues that we're in together. This may have been that. I'm not sure which leagues. We're in a bunch of leagues together. But another move he made, and I like this one.
I don't.
You don't?
No.
Well, maybe not. CMC and McKenzie for Debo. Same league as the last trade. So he's making moves in this league, whatever league he's going for. I think
so. He got Walker and then traded away CMC. So he replaced CMC with Walker,
and then he replaced Garrett Wilson with Debo.
So would you rather have Debo and Walker or CMC and Garrett Wilson? If
in
you're
a win
now, I think you'd rather have Walker and Debo, right?
Yes,
correct.
So that's probably the thought. On paper, when you see CMC and McKenzie for Debo, I like CMC. I thought he was going to get 40 touches today. He didn't. But CMC is still, I mean, he's been averaging 18 points a week in fantasy. Like, you can't really. Debo to me is like, I love Debo as a football player, one of my favorite players to watch play football. But from a fantasy perspective, he's going to be inconsistent. CMC is super consistent. I know this is the health thing. I think he's fine. CMC is a special player.
And then Tyler and our good friend of the show, Jeff Bell, at For Whom J Bell Tolls,
shout out football guys,
made a huge trade. In
with 2 of the people we just talked about.
Our analyst league.
No, all 3 of the people we talked about.
What?
That Tyler traded for.
Yeah, Rondell Moore, Alec Pierce,
and
Tyquan Thornton.
Wow.
Yeah.
And gave up J.K. Dobbins. I love this trade. Hats off to Tyler for boosting his young wide receiver core.
I've been off Dobbins for a while.
And I'm glad that, he took the time and really looked at the rosters and said, these are the guys that I really want. And sure enough, this week, you wouldn't get away with that after the performance that Rondell, Alec Pierce, and Tyquan Thornton had. You'd be paying up for that. It'd be J.K. Dobbins probably plus a second for all 3 of these guys.
I have Dobbins in one dynasty league. I've been trying to unload him, and it's a bunch of sharps, and they're like, nah, I'm not getting what I want for him. So I feel it. Like, Dobbins is very frustrating. We all want him to have a pass catching role, and that's not what Baltimore does. So yeah. Anywho,
any other trades you guys get done this week? Anything you're working on?
I got something that I'm working on.
I'm trying to get rid of Darrell Henderson. Almost made it happen this morning.
I'm trying to channel my Christian McCaffrey sell. A home league lost Lance. Swift's been out. Lost Elijah Mitchell. Whatever. I had traded Devontae Adams for Bateman and a 2023 first to the best team. So it's going to be like one of the last picks.
Okay.
So I'm looking to trade away Kelsey and McCaffrey. I was talking to someone trying to package them both. But they have Kittle, so now they're going to be happy with this recent performance. So I'm going to pivot and offer CMC. Garrett Wilson was involved, Wan'Dale Robinson, and a couple firsts. So Christian McCaffrey, I would love to try to get Wilson and the first, because Garrett Wilson 2 straight down weeks after that huge game. So maybe he's going to be like, all right, F it. I need to go for the win now. So hopefully I can get Wilson in the late first. So this is the second best team. So it's going to be, I'm fighting for the last 2 picks basically in the first, but I think it's a good pivot off McCaffrey in like a home league where people, values could be so different in a home league versus
having 2 late first too. If depending on who comes out, landing spots, yada, yada, yada. We all knew that routine, but it's also one of those moves. If you have 2 late first, you could package them together and move up in the draft to get the player that you really want.
I think it's possibly worth it to pivot off of kind of McCaffrey. Obviously, running backs with age, they may decline, but if he's going to retain that pass catching role and he could hold value. So it's something I'm trying to think if I should just, retool elsewise, try to trade like Mike Williams and keep McCaffrey for next year.
Yeah. And reports of McCaffrey getting moved, but Carolina wanting multiple firsts for a running back.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, good luck.
Not in this market.
I guess I am ridiculous thinking I should get multiple firsts if the NFL can't even do that.
Yeah, no, I think you have to slow down a little bit.
Garrett Wilson in a second. Wan'Dale in a first.
You could get Garrett Wilson in a
Wan'Dale in a first might get it done.
McCaffrey's the RB. He's top 5 on the season.
He's a player that could get you 20 points any game. Like, that's so rare.
And he usually does. Like, yeah, exactly.
So I'll try for Garrett in a first.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Thank you, man.
Shout out Mike Kinney in the chat. We see you, Mike. We don't have controls of the chat today. He sold Debo for 23 second and a 24 first and second. How do you feel about that?
Debo for 2023 first.
Second, 24 first and second. So 2 seconds and a first, but the first is in 24.
I don't mind it if you're winning now.
Wait, what?
No, he's sold, so he's not
Yeah,
winning now.
no.
He's not winning now. He's loading up for the future.
How's he doing?
That's not bad.
I mean, at least you got 1 first and 2 seconds. You just got to really be confident in your process. Debo, he's going to be scoring
70 something today.
Yeah,
he's going to be scoring. But I mean, if obviously having these packages, we just talked about having 2 first to move up. You could package some stuff together and always move up. You got 3 picks and things that are going to retain value and then accrue value at some point as well. So
yeah, I don't know all the details, but I would have tried to push for a 23 first, and maybe Mike did that, and he was like, nah. But I think Debo is worth a 23 first and maybe a 24 second with another player or maybe another pick. But maybe he doesn't even have a 23 first, which is possible too. Lots of different possibilities there. So that is going to wrap us up this week. But before we completely get out of here, want to give a shout out to Dynasty Nerds. Our friend Dynasty Rich was at the Browns game today, where he saw my Patriots take out his Browns. Sorry, Rich. And then he was going to the Indians game tonight. Like, what a life.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Rich out there in Ohio with dynastynerds.com. So make sure you go over there, sign up for the Nerd Herd. Use code DHH for 15% off of any subscription. You got to pay for these tickets for Rich. So he needs you to subscribe. There's trade tools, extra Nerd Herd episode, prospect film room, prospect scores, and the Dynasty GM. And while you're at it, it's starting to get chilly. I know Tyler out there in Minnesota is like, oh, it's 44 degrees. I need to put on a
snowed
sweatshirt.
out there this
it's
week.
short weather.
It's short. Yeah, for him, it's short weather. But for everyone else, if you need a sweatshirt, long sleeve shirt, t-shirt, whatever your needs are, go on Verdian Global, search Dynasty Happy Hour, and check out some of our options there. Again, to our other sponsors, Manscaped, Underdog, Trophy Smack. Check them all out. Manscaped, code DHH. Underdog, DHH. Trophy Smack, DHH Ring. Thank you for sponsoring us, and we support you with your awesome products, so thank you. And if you can leave a review on iTunes, and, we want to see your honest comments, even the ones that aren't so great that we can just laugh at privately. Please leave them. We want to try to get better. If you like the new segments, if you don't like them, give us your feedback on iTunes. And, we'll get bumped up in the Happy Hour podcast ranks. Damn you, Matthew. I'm going to have to talk with you. But anywho, that's going to wrap us up
get
this
him on
week.
the show and talk to him about it.
He's been on the show before. We could probably get him on in the off season for sure. Yeah. For James, for Corey, thank you for joining us this week, Corey, our even week. Tyler should be back next week. I will be gone. I'm going to be on a cruise, so you'll have to listen to Tyler or James host, and it'll be just as good as me, I'm sure. So we will talk to you next week on the Dynasty Happy Hour.